I'm wearing kind of like a beaded dress. It's just made out of beads, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like a very decorative kind of dress.
And what are you doing? Are you at a party or where are you?
I'm in the courtyard. I'm in the courtyard in Egypt a very long time ago.
And was that a usual dress that you're wearing, or are you dressed that way for a special occasion?
No, this appears to be a special dress for a special occasion. And there's people that come out to the courtyard,
Mm-hmm.
and we just gather in the courtyard. And then there's people that come out, and they've got they've got little foods on platters, like little nibblies, I guess. And yeah, this this dress, I don't think it covers very much. It's just made out of beads. I wonder why I'm wearing such a dress, to be honest. Um,
And what do you look like physically? Do you look like an Egyptian or?
hmm, this is this is Lumina again,
Mm-hmm.
but she's got long hair. Oh, she's just wearing some jewelry and a beaded dress, and there's some bracelets on my hands, and my nails look nice, and I've made myself look really nice tonight because there's this special. It's a special occasion. I'm kind of like in a diplomacy role, but I don't know, this dress is a bit racy for being a diplomat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just made out of beads. I'm not quite sure if there's anything underneath this dress. It seems a bit strange. Maybe I'm wearing some pants. I think I'm wearing some pants underneath the dress. Well, not like pants, but like underpant type of things. But I'm not wearing anything on my top, so it's kind of a little bit exposing. But maybe this is like the fashion at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I definitely know that I would be really uncomfortable if I wore this dress today.
And how's everybody else dressed? Are they all dressed formally or?
Um, they're dressed in beautiful clothes as well. They have like headpieces on their heads and um, jewelry that's like the men are kind of wearing headpieces as well and jewelry around the collarbones, like those big sort of necklaces
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, everyone's got their jewelry on. It looks really nice. but I'm just wearing a dress made out of beads.
Is it uncomfortable, the dress, or?
A little bit, but I feel
Yeah.
like I'm a little bit of a fashionista, so you know, I've worn uncomfortable things in my life as Elizabeth too, but you know,
Mhm.
I just don't usually wear things that, you know, are like this type of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. How is your hair styled?
Well, I think I have some beads in my hair as well.
Mm.
I think it feels like when I come to Egypt, when I came, then it was like we got like the VIP treatment
Mm.
almost because there's somebody important and they put some little like, I don't know, like little braids and then beaded the braids, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you shake your hair, it makes like a noise because there's some beads here.
Mhm. And how did you there would have taken a lot of people to get you dressed and ready for this event?
I see there's some people that were beading my hair,
Mhm.
and then I think I put the dress on myself though. Mostly my hair that they did.
What was Lumina doing in Egypt? What was her role in Egypt?
Well, I feel like after we had the battle against the being known as Set, I feel like we came back at some point, and when we came back, um, there was like a vacuum of power. There
Mhm.
was nobody much looking after Egypt, so we had to, I guess, come back to this place and organize for somebody new to be put in this place. Somebody who wasn't going to be a tyrant or anything like that. So we had to, I guess, like we don't really want to, I don't really want to rule myself. So we're just making sure that there's a person or people being put in for like, I guess, the position of power to fill that role, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So like, I guess their society doesn't collapse.
Yeah, makes sense. So let's move forward a little bit and see who they choose um to continue on.
Mm, mm. It looks like there's a young man, but he has some kind of hybrid bloodline.
What sort of bloodline does he have? Like, what's the hybrid?
Mm. Like he's got like extraterrestrial DNA in him, if that makes sense. Like different sorts of, like a different mix of things. I think you just ask the conscious mind to recede a little bit more so I can just get more information about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just ask my conscious mind to recede.
Ask the vehicle's conscious mind to recede a little bit more so we can continue on with the session.
Okay, it's happening.
Okay.
Okay, okay, so it should be good now.
Okay. So did you so what kind of bloodline did this person have?
Okay, he had some Syrian DNA.
Mm-hmm.
This comes to mind from this place known as Sirius,
Mm-hmm.
the dog star.
Is that Sirius A or B?
Just from this, there is a planet from this general area,
Mm-hmm.
from what you referred to. So he has this person who went to rule at this time. He was a human, but he was, I guess, manipulated to have DNA from this other place.
Mm-hmm.
So from where Thoth comes from, this person, half their DNA originated from this place where Thoth, do you know the Egyptian god Thoth?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is part of my soul family. So this person had some DNA from the place where Thoth came from.
So he was chosen to lead to continue on.
It's like this person has the intelligence to be able to do so at this time, because I'm seeing that the people were, how do I say it, going backwards in their intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
They're going backwards in their evolution. So they needed somebody who was more intelligent, I guess, and skillful to be able to fulfill this role. So it was not completely like, it was not an Elohim being
Mm-hmm.
that fulfilled this role. It was this young man I'm seeing he kind of has a long black hair, this man, or maybe long dark hair. I'm not sure if it's black, but it's long, if I can remember it. But yes, this man was chosen for this purpose. He appears like he is part human, so the people trust him. But he is the most appropriate for this particular role. So we have approved, and the people have approved this man to be the new leader of Egypt after Seth. So it was like everybody agreed that this man would be the new leader. This is the night where he is being, I guess, like a coronation type of night.
Okay.
This is why I'm wearing very, very fancy clothing. And I'm seeing my brothers and sisters, the other Elohim.
Yeah.
They're in the courtyard and they are wearing clothing too. And it's like a ceremony type of thing. There's a big deal made of it.
And what does the ceremony include of?
So he is getting a scepter. It looks like a jet pillar type of thing. This object. He gets a scepter. He gets a sort of like a headdress type of thing. A little bit like coronations today, actually. I'm seeing. And he has like there is a room that he is sitting on a chair like a throne type of thing. And I'm just seeing they have little aqueducts around this place, or like a water feature, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's lots of water features, and there's some water features in the courtyard too. And it's very beautiful on the inside, very decorative, and there's flowing water.
Is it within a castle, or where is the location that this is taking place in?
It's like there's a bigger building, and then there's like a courtyard. I think I remember a few buildings, but I definitely remember the courtyard because it's very beautiful, and there's tiles on the floor, and there's some beautiful birds. There's some birds that I don't recognize today. It looks like a lyrebird or something with a long tail that drags behind it. And these are sort of decorative birds. They are allowed to wander in certain areas. There's like lots of in these buildings. There's I guess like plants too, and there's even some skylight type of things. It's very natural and beautiful, actually. It's very advanced for, I guess, a very, very long time ago. It looks like there's some skylights in the buildings, and so the sun filters in different shapes, and there's lots of like little aqueduct type of things, and I think there are some lotuses and like water plants growing in the buildings as well. It's very
Mhm.
beautiful. They put a lot of detail into this, make it very beautiful. I like this place. And they give to me some treats on the platters,
Mhm.
some very nice. Some of them are salty and some of them are sweet. They taste very nice. And they are like very decorative little bits to eat.
Mhm.
So when these people come out and they have these platters, we are very excited. Oh, oh, look at that. Oh, and then I think they thought we would be very impressed by these. And we are. We
Mhm.
are very impressed. The Elohim are very impressed by these the things on the plates and the nice drinks. They have some drinks too. They're not like they are not alcoholic, I would say, because they are more. They have different substance in them because it was at this point that in some of the circles in Egypt, the alcohol was considered, it was lowering the vibration. So they used
Mhm.
some different things to make the drinks very nice.
What did they use?
They're using medicinal plants,
Mhm.
and they made the drinks is like some of these drinks are like colorful, and they have little flowers inside them
Mhm.
in a nice glasses. Anyway, we were very excited by these things. I remember I was very excited by these things on the platters, but maybe that's just my personality.
What's important
Mm,
about this scene that we're looking at, um, that it would relate to us now, you'd think?
mm. Well, this is how Egypt was formed after everything went dark. This
Mhm.
was the new power structure.
I
I
see.
feel like this is a power changeover from the darkness to the light.
Mhm.
And I feel like we are soon coming to this point where we will have to, I guess, choose new people, to run the countries and to do things differently.
Mhm.
Like back then, we have to be very careful of the choice who we choose, because there is a lot of corruption. So not only was this, it was about this person, this hybrid being, and why he was chosen is because he had kindness in his heart. And everyone could see that. It was good in the beginning. It only became corrupted later on. But at this time we chose correctly. We chose this person and he was a good person for the job. He is very kind. And he has I see he has a female with him and they have children. And then they carry on in this way. But this family was good to begin with. I don't know what happened. Everything became corrupted after we left. But it was longer after we left this. This was fairly early on. So I'm seeing maybe we left after 1,000 years or so. So we watched as this man actually he lived for a very, very long time. He did not have an ordinary lifetime.
How many years
He
would you
lived
say?
he lived for an abnormally long time. I think he only died towards the end when we left. There was something about his hybrid DNA and his level of consciousness, but he was a human hybrid too, but he lived a very long life, this one. People don't live like this today. So it was like, this was like a golden age of peace after Seth. And this man lived for a very long time and he was very fair and good. And Egypt was happy for at least 1,000 years.
And
Yes. Mm.
and then what happened after he died? Like, did it become more corrupt?
Well, he just wanted to. I'm seeing this man, he just decided to leave the body. He just decided he didn't want to. I think he informed us that he was wanting to pass away, and this was just before we left. So he organized for somebody else before, and then we just check on them to make sure it's okay. And I think the next person in line after we left, like it was a good person that he chose. But after we left, I'm seeing this person that he chose, that was a good person, that was meant to. I'm seeing this was another hybrid being, but this person was murdered after we left. The next person he chose, it's very, very sad. And this is where things started to go downhill. So there was 1,000 years of peace with this man, and then the next man, well, we were hoping it would be 1,000 years longer, but it went to shit very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we did not want to intervene anymore with the humans, but this was very sad that it went, I guess, so quickly in my time. This was no good.
And what happened with the people there, with society?
Mm, I think it just went downhill from there. It was okay for a little bit, but like it's like things started to slowly crumble again. It's like the darkness slowly begin to creep in again
Mm,
after we left, because this was just part of the cycles, unfortunately, because before it was this 25,000 year type of cycle, and at the end of the first 25,000 year cycle, when we had to intervene again, it was because of Atlantis had fallen, and it was because of Set, this being. So we came again at the advent of this new cycle. And the new cycle, it was a cycle of moving more into separation, into darkness. So, of course, when we left, it would happen, and we knew it would happen, but it just happened so quickly. It happened so quickly after we left.
is it because there was no light in the planet, or what was it to do with men's corruption, or what? What went wrong, would you say?
It was like there was some seeds that had been planted of the not good kind. And it was like those, I'm seeing those seeds, they were allowed to grow. It was like the weeds were allowed to grow in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And then the weeds slowly but surely overtook the garden. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yes.
Yes. We just didn't think the weeds would come back so quickly, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't realize that they would be so quick to come back after we had gone.
And is that the same thing that's happening now, would you say, that there's the weeds overtaking the...
Oh, it's like the weeds have overtaken the garden. And because we are going into this new cycle, it's a
Mm-hmm.
cycle of light, we are able to have much more success with pulling up the weeds. And it's like the weeds have overtaken the garden completely at this point, and everybody is working to pull up the weeds,
Mm-hmm.
because the seeds of the weeds started at this point. And then these weeds, they grew up over thousands and thousands of years and overtaking the garden. And now we are pulling up all of the weeds.
So when you're saying that you're pulling up all of the weeds, is it like what does it look like in our world? Does it is it like people having the exit points or?
Yes, there's some people having the exit points, but that's to do with their soul. It's not because necessarily they are a weed, if
Mm-hmm,
you know what I mean. But there are some very, very dark ones that would be considered like weeds
mm-hmm,
in this case. But even weeds serve a purpose from the grand. When you look at the grand cycles of life, the weeds even serve a purpose, but we have to take out we were taking out the darkest of the dark so that the plants that are meant to grow in this garden can grow again. The plants that, like the trees and the good plants in the garden. Do you know what I mean? So when we take out the weeds, then there is space for these beautiful trees to grow. Because yes, the weeds were taking up and making problems for the rest of humanity. The weeds got out of control.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
So we've got a few questions here. Is it okay if I proceed to them?
Yes, that is fine. That is fine.
What was Apollo's role as an Elohim, his role in your life, and what does he have to do with this ascension process?
Apollo, he is the Elohim of the light. So he has a very big role. He is on the council of 7 or 14. There is 7 feminines and 7 masculines, but we can be both, but we choose to be in our role, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he is my masculine aspect. So I am the feminine one, and he is the masculine one.
Mm-hmm.
And he is facilitating the ascension process. I am seeing his essence is in the molecules of the light. I don't know how to explain. Like the essence of the light,
Mm-hmm.
where it is everywhere. There is like pieces of him,
Mm-hmm.
like his essence.
Yep.
So it is a bit difficult to explain because he is a very high dimensional being, but his essence is everywhere in this universe. And he is facilitating this process of the light. So the light has a lot to do with the ascension process because the light gives the instructions to the soul, to the body, to the consciousness to to begin to facilitate. The light is like a book. The light is like a book, and you read the words of this magic book, or like programming,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like things come to life. So light is information. It's information.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
it's like It's like a computer code for reality, if that makes sense.
Yep. Thank you for that. That alternate time that Apollo showed Elizabeth, can we talk about that?
An alternate timeline, I remember. He showed this to my lower self, Elizabeth.
Mhm.
Okay, so if I explain this, it may seem a little bit frightening, but this was the reminder of the plan. Okay, so in this alternate timeline, I was seeing, I guess, there is a football field, football stadium, and this appears to take place in America.
Mhm.
And they had repurposed these football and sports stadiums for a very sinister purpose.
Mhm.
They were using these places like concentration camps and execution points. So they were herding people from these buses, and they were dropping them off at this sports stadium. And I'm seeing these people in these white sort of suits, like hazmat suits,
Mhm.
and they are taking these people into this football stadium. They just look like ordinary people, and they're herding them into this stadium. And once they're in this stadium, there was this podium type of thing with a kind of a cheap looking guillotine on this place. And they were just, the people, they panic when they come in, and then they get, what is it when they see what is happening when they enter this stadium, this football stadium,
Mhm.
and they panic because, of course, they know they are going to be killed. So some of them, they panic and they're like, yes, what is that thing where you put in the arm, inject, and then the person is drugged? So they
Carol.
do it at emergency departments sometimes. I was going to say anesthetize them. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they just, if there are people and they are panicking, they just put this injection in their arm and then they go drugged and floppy.
Mhm.
Okay, when they see this thing. So this was the extent of the evil that was taking place on another timeline. If the dark ones that were ruling the earth got their way.
Mhm.
So they go into this football stadium and they chop off these people's heads, and they are placing them in rows, and these people in the white suits, they're just like workers, and they are counting the heads to check if they got the persons that, oh, I'm seeing these people, they posted some things on social media that were not preferable to. Yes, this was no good. So these people are ordinary people, but they questioned this regime. They were going to go a lot further with the pandemic. Oh dear. And so these people in these white suits have these tablets, in their hand, and they are using the facial recognition on the people who are decapitated and putting their heads in a row just to check, if it's this person that posted this thing on social media, oh yes, it's him and we got him, and just like to check them off. This is very sadistic. This is what was planned, actually. We are definitely on the good timeline. And Apollo was just showing me this because he was reminding me we are on the good timeline. We are safe. This future did not occur.
So, so if we had gone through that timeline, the people that would post things up to help humanity awaken, is that something, a reality that would have occurred to them?
Yes, this is what would have happened. This is what would have happened to all of the people who call themselves truthers or conspiracy theorists or things of this nature, or anyone who just says no.
Mm.
They would have ended up like this.
And so what was the purpose of the COVID vaccine? Did that have something to do with that, or?
Yes, this was a plan of the Dark Ones.
Mm-hmm.
This was a plan. This was how it was supposed to go. This plan, but it didn't. This plan didn't go like this. This was how it was supposed to go, but it didn't. It's like Apollo was trying to show my lower self. It didn't happen like this because humanity made a choice. It is because we made a choice. It's because enough people made a choice.
And what was that choice that they made?
To be true to who they are, to say no and to stand up for what they feel is right within their soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they chose love instead of fear. Enough people, I mean, maybe around 20% of people, of humanity, but even 20% was enough. Even around this number was enough. It was enough to save the world.
Oh, so.
So I think the message here is you are more powerful than what you think you are. It's a very, very special message, this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we have already saved ourselves. I think this is wonderful.
100%.
Mm.
So, and the information that Apollo told Elizabeth about the sports stadiums were originally built for, that's the information that
Yes,
trying to.
that was the purpose of what they were meant to do.
Oh, okay.
The Olympics, these big sports events, they were like channeling the energy of many people.
Mhm.
There was lots of darkness to do with these events. Apollo, he is with me, and he is shaking his head. He wants to say that he loves sports. He loves the physical activity and teamwork and leadership in the sports, because the Elohim, they were the first to have these sort of Olympic Games for fun. But the dark ones, they took the sports and they took the teamwork and they changed it into something that was no good. They changed it into something to enslave people. And he is upset because he was very involved in the making of the first, I guess, what you would call, we did not call it Olympics, but we played some games, and I'm seeing people were watching
Mhm.
when we played some games, some sports games. And this was like almost like a teaching exercise to teach people not only to strengthen the body and to get fit the body, which is very good for evolution, but this helps with the intelligence and the teamwork with each other. Teamwork and having like a friendly competition with each other.
Mhm.
And so afterwards, even if you are the loser, it is a lesson for you, and everybody is just happy at the end and celebrates even if you are a loser. I don't know how to say this otherwise.
Mhm.
But this concept of games, the Olympic Games, the original concept was very important. Teamwork and it's like we learn a lot from each other by doing this in the proper way. He's telling me going forward, we will have to, I guess, when we find out all of the darkness that has been going on in sports, and there is a lot of darkness, we can choose we don't need to get rid of the concept of sports. We can go ahead because it actually has usefulness. Although I did not like sports in this life, I really didn't like sports. I hated PE day in the school. I did not like this, but when I was on earth the first time, I guess, I enjoyed doing these sports.
Mhm.
It was very fun. I feel like it was a different concept. So we need to bring back the original concept of the sports, because I don't think this should go away. It's an important thing for lots of people, especially men to play sports, men and women together.
Mhm.
Apollo is just upset because they turn sports into a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, it's very, very good, very helpful tool for people.
Yes.
He is upset because there was many, I guess, trafficking of human trafficking around sports events and lots of darkness happening around rituals to do with the sports events. He doesn't like this.
Is the Super Bowl one of those rituals that
Yes, unfortunately this one is no good. Apollo, he's shaking his head. We want sport to come back in the original sense. Just teamwork and camaraderie with each other.
What happens at these Super Bowl events?
They have it's like they have lots of underground parties at these events and lots of big names show up. I am seeing they have some parties and they have these rooms where you can participate in things that are very, very not nice. Not nice at all. And they are doing rituals at these events.
What kind of ritual?
They do the satanic rituals before, especially the Olympics. The Olympics, especially these type of events. Yes. Each of the countries has to participate in the ritual. Otherwise, they can't participate in the Olympics. This is horrible. This is horrible. So there is a representative from each country that has to participate in a sacrifice. This is camaraderie, but for the wrong reasons. It's totally screwed up. Camaraderie between countries, but this is what this is seeded on. But the games that we made were originally good. They were very good. We did not have this thing. I think people are going to be shocked because everything special in their society has been, they have given it the stinky. I don't know how to say this. They have made everything stinky. They have put stinky energy into everything. Let's just say everything that was good that people like, movies, sports, all of these companies, shopping malls. I'm trying to think of other things that people like, other activities. Anyway, all of the activities that you like have been corrupted. People are going to be sad because sports is very important for people. You know, watching the sport and movies and sport and acting and music and all of these things. All of these things were good and Elohim liked these things, but they have been made bad on purpose. It was like they wanted to put the stinky energy into these things.
And what was the purpose in that? What was the intention?
It's like you can't have any joy. That's the message I'm getting. They just wanted to take away the joy from all of the things that brought you joy. At the very basic level, this is it.
Okay.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah. Can we talk about the timeline wars?
Yes, because this is why we are not in that bad timeline anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The Elohim had to go and we had to delete certain timelines that were very, very bad. And also humanity chose a good one. So it was like the consciousness of humanity, that small part, responded to the light. They responded to the light of God. And so the timeline was successful. We are working in conjunction with all of consciousness, all of the Elohim, to make it right. But we are on the good stream of timelines because there are different streams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing there are like a general. We are on the general of the good timelines, if that makes sense. And then there's smaller streams that come off of this, that so people can make a choice. But the catastrophic timelines, us and many other galactic races, they went back in time. They went back in time to change these beings with multidimensional selves. They went back to change this so that these timelines would, I would say, they be cut off. So they have no future.
Mm. So what happens to them?
Those timelines, they are just trapped. They are like in a bubble. I'm seeing they are just stopped. And it's like those timelines, they still exist on some level of reality, but it's like only a memory of that, if that makes sense. It's not the real thing, so it would never be able to happen. However, like it was a possibility in one aspect of reality, but it was stopped. So there is just like only very faint traces of where it was, but other than that, it was destroyed. These timelines, they were destroyed. So these faint traces of those timelines, this is where you get these sort of fear that come in, like, oh, like people have this inner feeling that like the truthers, or I guess what you would call the conspiracy theorists, or the ones who are objecting to the pandemic, that they were going to be rounded up into concentration camps. And there was lots of, I guess you would call fear porn going around about this particular situation, that they would be rounded up and taken away and blah, blah, blah. Now, this is exactly the residue. This is just the residue of that timeline that was going to happen but got destroyed. Does that make sense?
It does.
So when people are tapping into these fears, all of these fears that, oh, this is going to happen, or this one said this is going to happen, or this fear scenario is going to happen, they are just tapping into timelines that have been dissolved. And it's just like there's just a tiny residue of where that used to be.
Is there a possibility that different timelines have already been accomplished and then we just don't remember because it was traumatic?
let me see. There is like a multiversal reality, if that's what you are talking about, but I can't say that that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that that happens, but I don't get into multiversal reality because this is sometimes could blow people's minds a little bit
Mm-hmm.
to think about this. It's very, very confusing.
Okay. What things did Apollo accomplish the last time that he came to Earth?
Okay, so Apollo was actually the being that destroyed Set. He was the one who fired the kill shot at this being known as Set or Satan. It is the same being. So he was actually the one who did it,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. So like we were all contributing, but it was like we were holding this being down. I'm seeing we were holding this being, like he turned into like a monstrous form, and we were holding this being down.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brothers and sisters said to us that Apollo and I need to do this to kill this being. And so I lent some power to Apollo, and I also said to him, you need to, it's like I lent him my inner power, and
Mm-hmm.
he, you know, and he did the act, if you know what I mean. So I'm seeing that I lent him like this inner strength because it was very, very hard for him to continue,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense, because this being was actually one of us. It was an angelic being. It was a cherubim,
Okay.
a fallen cherubim. So it was very difficult for him. And so when we had a task to do, we had a task to put down this being, to make sure that it wasn't going to create havoc for the universe anymore in this area, because other things were happening that I won't get into. But the order came that we need to get rid of this. And so Apollo he was crying and not, well, he was very, very strong, but this had taken a lot out of him, this war situation.
Mm-hmm.
And we were about to kill another angel. So this was very difficult for everyone, So everyone was very upset. So Apollo he needed some strength to keep going, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do it. And so, excuse me, I just have something in my nose.
Okay.
Okay, that's better. So sorry about that. So he had to do this task. And I'm just seeing it was hard for him. And so I was there to support him the entire time when he had to kill this being. And he took a giant beam of light. And it's like he had this big like ball of light in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
and made this big ball of light. And then he directed this ball and turned into a beam, and the beam shot this being, and this being began to struggle and scream, being known as Set. And I'm like, keep going, keep going, keep going. It's almost done, it's almost done. And he is holding this light, and I am giving my light to him. I am telling him, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then it was done. It was like this explosion sort of happened, and this being passed away. Its body was disintegrated.
Mm-hmm. And what happens to him after? Like, does he go back to source, or what happens?
So the soul of this being was caught. It was caught, but and held somewhere. This being's soul was held somewhere. So it doesn't reincarnate, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But this being was resurrected later on, so there was some corruption with the place that it was held, that this being's soul was held, because another angelic being pretending to be a good one that was actually a fallen one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it got into this and retrieved this being's soul and resurrected it. But this happened much later after we left. After we left, they knew it was safe, so they resurrected this being called Set or Satan, if this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that was how it happened. That was what he did the first time. That was the most important thing. But he did other things. He taught people many things, and he was involved in teaching people like different things about agriculture and culture and music and sports, these type of things, like things that were necessary for civilization.
Mm-hmm.
He was teaching people this. And
Okay.
to make a good civilization, with culture. So sport and art and music and these type of things that that I guess are higher pursuits, if that makes sense. So people can be focused on something other than just survival, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. So of course people knew how to do these things in Atlantis time, but it was like they went backwards and they just needed some more help to remember, like, art and these higher cultures. These things are important, these creative things. It's like sport, art, music, fashion, creative ways of doing and being. These
Mm-hmm.
things are important for evolution, for people to ascend eventually. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a higher
Okay.
order of thinking, higher order of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Now, can we talk about the lifetime where Apollo and Lumina formed the great central sun in another universe?
Oh yes, I wrote this question down because I wanted to remember. So in another universe, we were before we became Elohim. It was like we had to prove ourselves, I guess. Would you say prove yourself? It was like a test of evolution to get to this point and to be able to put out enough energy to be the two main beings that are governing the central sun. If that makes sense, it's like a test of evolution.
Yep.
Before we got into the role that we became as Elohim. And it was like I just view us as just being light. And we are living in the central sun of that particular universe. And we were constantly producing light. We were constantly, it was like we were the universe and we were everything. We were everything all at once, always. We could feel everything all at once. And this was challenging in this universe because lots of things happened in that previous universe. And we had to be very, very strong in our light. So we held the light in this particular universe. We held it very well. And this is why we are the way we are today. It's because despite all that happened, despite all of the chaos and things that happened at that time, I'm viewing it was very painful. Very painful. But we continued on. We held the light, and there was a threat to our beingness. There was a threat to the great central sun in this universe. And it was like we held strong. We held strong in this light and continued on. We didn't allow this to phase us, and we kept going on.
What was
We
the
did
threat
a
of
really
the
good
Great
job.
Central Sun?
They wanted to put us out. They wanted to put the central sun out. The dark ones in this universe, they wanted to put out the heart of the universe, essentially. They were very, very misguided. But it was like we held the fort, if that makes sense. We held our ground. They were trying to put us out, but we held on. And this did not happen.
Thank you for that. Now, humanity is confused about vengeful and frightening Elohim in the Old Testament and old myths. Were these the Elohim or other groups of extraterrestrials?
Okay, so some of these beings were, like I said, fallen angels who seemed like Elohim, because Elohim are of the angelic class. They are the highest point of angelic evolution. Okay, so some of these beings, they looked like Elohim, they dressed like Elohim, they appeared to look like Elohim because they had wings, but like an angel type of being, or like a beautiful face,
Mhm.
So they looked like us, but they were not. They were not. These were fallen angel type of entities. Okay,
Mhm.
so they look like that, but they're not. But they used to be of the angelic level before they fell. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yep.
Yes. So people got the two and two confused,
Mm.
unfortunately, because they were like, oh, this one looks like that one, and that one looks like this one. And they were just confused. So when you see these various myths and stories, you have to remember that not all of those myths are the original, if that makes sense. I don't know how to say the word, but in the Bible and whatnot, there was a lot of imposter beings, and there was it is more complicated than what people think.
Mhm.
Like some of the beings that were in the Bible and are quoted as being Yahweh were not Yahweh, for example.
Okay.
That
So
makes sense. So
yeah.
yeah, this was some interference, if that makes sense. And people didn't know the difference between this one or that one.
So is that the reason why Yahweh had to come and have that experience that he did? Just
Yes, 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 as Jesus. Yes, yes, yes. This was very, very important for that. Sorry, I'm not used to the physical body, so sometimes I just choked on some spit.
uh,
Yes. Um, excuse me. So this is when he came as Jesus,
mhm.
and because it was to make things right in a sense, if that makes sense, to give clarity to people,
Mhm.
to give clarity and to see it a new way, to see the original energy of what he wanted
Mhm.
to begin with, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So when they in the Bible when they say that like the that the source or that God punished people, would that be the Elohim that were pretending to be God or
The Elohim don't pretend to be God. Okay. We aren't allowed to do that,
the cherubims and
actually.
like the cherub the
Yes, yes, yes. We are just messengers of the source of the all that is.
mhm.
But we, if we said we are everything of the all that is not right. You know,
Mhm.
we are part of it, same as people. We are part of this beingness. We are just like very, 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 very evolved, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. So it's not right for Elohim to go around and say that they are God. This would not be befitting for them, and they would get, let's just say, demoted.
Mhm.
If they were to do that, they would get told off, and they would not do this
Mhm.
anyway, to pretend that they are this and that. As for the ones pretending to be Yahweh, yeah, they are fallen ones,
Mhm.
or ones that may be making some mischief for him,
Mhm.
because there are many beings that pretend for different reasons. There are many beings that pretend to be imposters, and they all have their own agendas.
Mhm.
Okay, sometimes they just want to make a little mischief and laugh, and sometimes it is something more sinister. Okay, you just don't know. Like we know when they do this because we catch them,
Mhm.
We are catching them. And we want people to know that if you have a being come into your sessions and
Mhm.
there is something wrong, or it appears that the person is compromised in some way, the information that is coming, just report to us, report to the archangels that there may be an imposter or something happening, and this will be investigated.
Mhm.
Okay. So people need to use their free will to make reports and to alert us to any suspicious activity, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Mhm.
If
Does.
any beings are like pranking or something like that, because the more of this sort of thing that is stopped, the easier it is for humans to get messages from certain beings
Mhm.
through messages, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. Were the first human beings in the universe made in the image of the Elohim?
Yes, yes, yes. So this was the not humans on Earth, but I guess there have been lots of iterations of humans in this universe. So when the universe got to a certain point, we wanted to, I guess, introduce a, a form, a form like a human, like that look like us, if you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
we look like angels look like human type of things, like a humanoid, like you have a head. This is a basic form. There can be all sorts of different types of variations on this, but a humanoid is basically like the five-pointed star-shaped body, if you
Mhm.
know what I mean. So you have the head,
Mhm.
and you have the torso and arms and the legs, and it is standing upright. So this is the basic humanoid form.
Mhm.
So this was started by the Elohim in the beginning, and they seeded onto a planet. They seeded this form onto a planet long, long ago in this universe. And I'm seeing these planets were called Avalon and Eva. Eva and Avalon. Oh, I remember now. So these planets, the first human forms were humanoid
Mhm.
forms were seeded on these planets called Eva and Avalon. And this was a very, very, very long time ago in the history of the universe. And so these beings from Eva and Avalon, I'm kind of getting this message that one of the planets was more masculine and one of the planets was more feminine, just in energy. It didn't matter the beings, but the planets themselves, one of them was masculine, one of them was feminine. So they were like twin flames of each other.
Mhm.
And in these twin flame planets, there was Avalon was the masculine one and Eva was the feminine one. And from these two planets, there came the different humanoid beings. So the humanoid beings from Sirius came originally from here, and the various humanoids in the universe, they all originated from Avalon and Eva. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then they seeded their own planets and continued on their own way. So Earth, the humans on Earth were seeded by by different races who were like the great grandchildren race of Avalon and Eva, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, it's such a long time span what I'm talking about.
It's okay. Out of all of the Elohim, Astria stayed on Earth long after the others had left. Why was that?
Oh yes, I had to write this question for myself to remember about Astrea. How Astrea is the twin flame of Yahweh. And she stayed on earth for a very, very long time afterwards, just to, I guess she loved humanity very much, just like him. But it is actually the truth that when it came to, see, there was the golden age, the age where we were on the earth. Then there was the silver age, the age where there was some Elohim still, but most of us had left at this point. And then at the Bronze Age, we are talking about, some time frames that humans can remember. There was only her. She was the last one. And then when it came to the Bronze Age, the time that humans remember, so we are talking about ancient Sumeria and this type of time. She left at this time. She did not like it anymore. The vibration was too dense and she just left. So she stayed she was the longest she stayed. I left long time before this. I left at the end of the golden age. When it was coming into the silver age, that's when I left. But she stayed there for a very long time, despite it being uncomfortable to her. So she is very, very strong. So the vibration went down too much and she didn't like it, so she left. There was too much corruption and all of these things.
So where is she now? Has she incarnated again, or is she in another planet?
She is just watching from the other side. Well, not watching, but she is participating in the ascension process, if that makes sense. She's heavily participating in the ascension process. But she is part of my soul family as well. So she helps me. She helps me with the vibration here. And so, yes, she is. It's not like she is not incarnated at this moment. Okay, she is assisting, but like not in an incarnated sense, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, long ago when Antarctica was not covered in ice, did Lumina or Elizabeth ever go to this place?
This was when the earth was very, very beautiful and like a paradise. Like the earth was subtropical everywhere and covered in greenery and flowers and fruits. And at this time, it was maybe 2 million years ago. And this was when Antarctica was not frozen over. There was a pole shift, and Antarctica was covered in ice after this. It was another cataclysm event. But when it was not covered in ice, I see that we were visiting there just to make sure what they were doing with the experiment was I guess proper and good. There are some things still left in the ice from this time. There is a big ship still left in the ice. There are some ships from this time that the beings that were there used to use,
Mm.
and they were just left there frozen in the ice. And there were some chambers where there was hybrid beings being kept. This was like a seeding project on the Earth, and it was stationed in Antarctica, like seeding humans. So I am seeing that they had some pods where some beings were kept in a stasis point or something,
Mm-hmm.
and there was scientists that came here in the recent age, and they cracked open these pods, and then these beings, the soul left them a long time ago, and they begin to disintegrate very quickly because they were in stasis periods, but it went for too long, and they just died. They
Mm-hmm.
were intending on doing more things, but then there was the pole shift, and all of their plans got frozen in ice, literally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing the scientists from today. They cracked open one of these pods. This is top secret, by the way. They did not let anyone know this information, but they cracked open one of the pods that had these beings in it, and these beings they're quite tall. They're much
Mm-hmm.
taller than humans. I'm seeing like a humans kind of come to about the hip height on these beings.
Mm.
So they're like around the hip point, and these beings were a lot taller than humans. And they cracked open one of these pods, and it started to stink. The body started to decompose of one of these beings. So
Mm-hmm.
they panicked. I'm just seeing that they made a mistake with these. It's a little bit stinky.
Now, there's people that say that there's some sort of disease, or there's something lurking in the ice of Antarctica. Is that to do with this, or?
They have some bacteria, but they are kind of harmless from this point because the Earth was a lot more harmonious at
Mm-hmm.
this point in time when it got frozen. Obviously, afterwards, things started to change, but at this time, the ice at that point was more harmonious. So, not harmonious, but the Earth did not have disease as you know it. This came later.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about a very long span of time. These things that have been trapped in the ice have been there for a very, very, very long time. Like before Atlantis was, yes, before Atlantis even. This is this is going into some serious history, I mean to say. So the vibration at this point was different. So when it got snap frozen, I'm seeing that it kind of just stayed in the ice, like this perfect world stayed in the ice, or this community. It was
Mm-hmm.
a perfect community, and it just was frozen solid. And there was great healing energy in, like, certain places. They had a healing point in their society, like a healing, I guess, place.
Is it like a healing temple
Kind of like healing waters,
or okay?
like what you would call the fountain of youth.
Mm-hmm.
It exists. It's like a myth that has been taken from long, long, long ago, and it comes from this time. This has just been floating in the consciousness of humanity since that point. And other people have picked up on it and made, like, sort of, I guess, references to like a fountain of youth or holy waters.
Mm-hmm.
This
Is there
was
such
where
thing?
yes, in this place there is, but it's closely guarded. Okay.
Closely guarded by the government, or
It is guarded by, I'm seeing there's benevolent extraterrestrials, because they were trying to corrupt the energy of this place, the dark ones, because I feel like the energy of this frozen place was very pure at this time, and it still contains the paradise codes of the earth. So this place is carefully watched. It was under the control of the dark ones for some time, but protected from the very special places. It's like there were benevolent forces protecting it all along, because we will need this energy from this place. We will need it in the new earth.
now the ice is melting on this Antarctica. Is that purposeful? Is that
Yes, this is how some of the energies will come out, and what the people and scientists have found. It is like their consciousness has expanded outwards from the things that they are discovering. So it's like it's very important, this place. Very, very important. The energy of this place.
okay? Now, Elizabeth wanted to explore the memories around the courtyard with the birds in Egypt. So that was what we were looking at the start of the
Yes,
session.
yes.
Yeah.
That's what was happening at the
Mhm.
start. And I remembered there was the person that we put in charge,
Mhm.
the first leader, and he lived for like 1,000 years around about. That's what I remember from this.
Okay. And now, what was she doing in the dream where she was spying on the dark ones and crawling within the walls of an art university to look at secret rooms within this building?
Ah, yes. I was doing secret mission at this point. I was watching and looking. I was seeing if these rooms in this place were being used for rituals and
Mhm.
for dark purposes. This is a real university in the Netherlands. And they were doing some things in universities, and we got word about there was some particularly dark beings that were being held in, I guess, in plain sight, let's just say. Dark
Mhm.
beings on the astral realm that were being held in plain sight in the Netherlands. So we were looking around this place. I was looking. We got a tip, let's just say, that there was something in this particular university. And so I was looking, and I kind of like, I disguised myself and make it so that nothing can see me.
Mhm.
I'm very, very sneaky, I guess, my beingness,
Mhm.
my skill. I can be very, very sneaky, and I can go around the dark ones. That's how I'm able to hunt them. I hunt them very easily because they don't know I'm coming. They just look around and they don't even see me coming. It's like, yes, they can't even feel me. It's like I'm in the air around them and they don't even know that I'm there. I disperse myself and change my form to make it very, very faint and like liquid. Like
Mhm.
I move like liquid through the walls and through the floors, and I catch them. I put my hands up through the walls and different areas and different places in the human world that they like to run around in, and I am crawling around in. It seems kind of creepy, but this is what I have to do. So I come up almost through the floorboards and grab them.
Mhm.
They get the biggest surprise. But I was looking in this place to see if I could find any beings, and I couldn't find anything. I just found dark residue of certain rituals being performed, but there was no beings there, no beings that day. So I was watching this place for some time, and I figured out that they had taken the beings to another place. Maybe they knew that we were watching, but we eventually caught them. But yes, I was almost spotted by somebody there. So I think they knew that I was watching. So I just had to be more careful for next time.
Mhm. What's the
Usually I'm very sneaky, but sometimes they are tricky, and they see just a little bit of me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just the tiniest bit. But usually I can catch them very easily.
What's the purpose of the rituals that they perform?
Oh, there's many purposes for these. It's like this is something that destroys the energy points of the earth. This is something that feeds darkness in a very, very big way into the energy points of the earth. So you would say the ley lines of the earth and these intersecting points,
Mhm.
these special energy points around the earth. So they do this in particular days. They do it on particular times to have the most effect, to like change the earth to dark timelines. This is to do with dark timelines. So when they do these type of things, they can switch the timelines to things that they want, but we don't let them do this anymore.
Mhm.
We are curtailing them at every opportunity so that they can't do this anymore. And also they they do this to the children because you see these beings, we are Elohim, and we feel everything in the universe. Like we are very feeling beings. So when they do this, when they and like God within us feels everything as well.
Mhm.
So when they do this, it's like they are hurting God and they are hurting us by doing this. It's like to get back at us. It's like to get back at creation, if you know what I mean.
Mhm. Sometimes in these strange dreams, Elizabeth sees herself disguising herself, changing her form very fluidly in order to not be seen. So that's what was happening
Yes,
before when you
yes,
were explaining that, weren't you? Yeah.
that's what was happening. So I kind of like I'm very, very good at blowing myself apart and reassembling my form back together. So
Mm.
I can be like in the air, so to speak.
Yeah.
So and putting my form into different ways
Mm.
so that and appearing like a dark being. I
Mhm.
have appeared like a dark being so that they don't suspect me. You know, I have many ways. I'm not going to get into the detail of this because I don't want them to suspect me.
Mhm.
But I have many ways of how I disguise myself and sort of float in the air around them without them detecting me necessarily.
Mhm.
Because they have tried to detect me more easily. They have you know many attempts to try and detect where I am in various Elohim, because you know there are other Elohim that do this as well. It's not
Mhm.
just me that you know appear in the walls and um, just like disassemble our beingness, so we can catch them at any place and time.
Very clever. How have the Dark Ones been specializing humanity, special spell casting humanity for centuries?
Yes, this was through the
That's what.
rituals that I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and through the rituals, and then I guess in the modern age they were easily able to do this through entertainment. Do you know? Like spell casting people through their entertainment, through their sports, you know, the things that I spoke about at the beginning.
Yeah.
Through all of these things, there was dark things that were seeded that were like spell casting. So people need to go through these things, and I guess like they're going to have an awakening moment when they realize how many things have been, I guess, spell casted.
Mm-hmm. Is the television one of them?
Yes. Well, you notice in the words for television, it's tell lie vision.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get it? It is
Yeah.
telling lies.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put on the TV, you're watching your favorite program, your favorite programming, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's in these words that people use.
Mm-hmm.
when they are watching programming, they are being programmed, because when you are watching the TV, you are going into a trance state of
Mm.
mind. And this mind is directly talking to your subconscious and your higher self. Okay, so you want to be aware of what you are watching on the TV or YouTube or anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is very important what you're watching.
Is there much to the concept that true love breaks the spell?
Yes, 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 yes. True love breaks these kind of spells. So if you have the love in your heart, this is why humanity, they jumped to the good timeline, because there was enough people loving themselves enough to stand up and say, no, I do not want this timeline to be my future. This is
Mm-hmm.
self-love, and this is love for others. So this was love in a sense, and love comes in many different forms. Sometimes love comes in the form of freedom for each other, and wishing that each other were free, wishing that every person was equal and free. This is love.
Mm-hmm.
So this truly does, it always breaks the spell. Always standing up in love, in who you are, love for yourself, love for others, and saying, no more, I choose love. And this is how you break the spells. This is how you break all of the spells.
So obviously the spells have been broken, and that's how we break them, by loving
Yes,
ourselves and showing love for
yes,
others.
yes, yes. This is why humanity went on the good timeline that I talked about at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Now, Elizabeth wanted to understand as to if we can heal the lack of energy and tiredness issue and where this stems from.
Yes, it's because the physical body is trying to keep up with the energy. So I will make this very easy for myself. I will make it a lot easier for myself, because it is coming in very, very strongly, and I adjusted the body, and I
Mhm.
kind of adjusted the body for that energy, but I am going to do more adjustments. So I will call my guide Arcana Owen. He will adjust the body for the next level of energies coming in.
Mhm. Thank you.
So he will do this within the next couple of weeks, and then there will be no problems. We'll just like adjust for all of the energies that come through for this year. We will just do adjustments for all of the energies for this year. And then when we get to next year, we will get to it. But I think focus on one thing at a time in relation to the body.
Thank you for that. So there's no vitamins that she needs to take to help her with the tiredness. You'll just adjust it for her in the coming weeks.
There's a vitamin B12. This would help.
Okay.
And the vitamin D, which she is already taking, and the iron, which she is already taking. These ones are helpful too, but the vitamin B12, this
Mhm.
one will help. And also, Arcana is going to adjust the body.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, just a question about Joshua. Did he end up having any kids?
Mm, he made his wife pregnant, but he died. Okay, so he died. But she was pregnant. I'm seeing there was maybe one. It was a little girl, but no other one. No other one.
Okay. So I had a session yesterday with a girl, and she was saying that it's a very confusing session. She was saying that I was her sister, and then that she was the Jesus's daughter, and that I was her sister. Do
Yes,
you?
this is no good. This being, I can see her energy is like too open to other influences. There is no boundaries here.
Mhm,
So other, I guess, distortions have come in
mhm,
from other sources that may not be in her highest good, like imposter beings, for example.
mhm,
So this is sometimes the problem when you are doing certain sessions. You need to make sure that the person has more strong boundaries, if
mhm,
that makes sense, on their energy, because some people, their energy is blown out and they are
mhm,
not it's like they are not responsible for it. They are not being responsible for their energy.
mhm,
I am very advanced at this, so I have strong boundaries around
mhm,
my energy, even if I can blow myself out. But some beings, they blow themselves out, but they don't know which is them and which is not them. Do you know what I mean? So
mhm.
their energy is just floating around and they don't know which is them and which is another person. Do you understand? Or another being.
Yeah.
And these beings that go into their field, they may not be for their best interests.
Mhm. So is
So
she? Do you know what kind of is she a I'm not sure. If she had a classification, what would she be? Was she like a
um,
Palladian or a Arcturian?
I'm going to say
Doing a session with, would you say that she's an Arcturian, or was she? What would you?
I was going to say Andromedan.
Oh, okay.
Andromedan. There is some Andromedan energy here,
Mhm,
but also she is Arcturian as well. But people, they come from many different places because they have different lifetimes. They don't need to get stuck on one particular place.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can she help herself with or how can we help ourselves by not allowing so many energies into our field, by being too open? How can we cleanse ourselves after sessions and things like that?
Okay, I'm seeing you use the violet flame,
Mm-hmm.
this method.
Yeah.
So you visualize the violet flame around you and your beingness, and imagine contracting your beingness back into yourself during the session point. It's important to contract your beingness to do sessions like this. Otherwise, if you are too open, it is some other beings can take advantage of that. So to imagine to contract the energy
Mm-hmm.
back in. So it is just making sure that it is just you and using the violet flame. And that
Mm-hmm.
makes sure that it is just you and the beings that you are letting in this space. Always ask to use the violet flame. It's very important in these situations.
Or how about the pyramid of light? Is that useful as well?
Yes, this one's very useful as well. but I like to use the flame energy because it can burn up any discordant energies in the field.
Mm-hmm.
It can
Now,
burn up anything that is not supposed to be there.
okay, yeah. So during a session to do the violet flame.
Yes, 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 yes. The violet flame. This is very important tool that many people have heard of, but you can use it for
Mm-hmm.
these.
Okay. Now she was saying that a fragment of her had been taken to hell and she was being tortured. Is that even possible?
There could be a fragment of her soul in the fourth dimension, but hell just doesn't exist. This place is like what's the word? Something that was made up by the dark ones to scare people.
Mm-hmm.
That's not real. If she does, she has like this person just has fragments everywhere, like not fragments, but her beingness is everywhere. Like some people, they are not contained in their energy. There's no boundaries. So they are here and they are there, and it may feel like some of their beingness is in the darker parts of the fourth dimension, and this is
Mm-hmm.
where they could be feeling this. But I am not here to judge this person. However, it is a useful thing for everyone to do, to contain their energy and to make sure that there is nothing in their energy that they do not want.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Now, would you say that this what we're doing here is like is a game? Like, are we within a game in Earth?
You could see the universe as a game. It's a very fun game. I've played this game many, 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 many times. And some beings get tired of the game and they want to return to the oneness. That's okay. Sometimes I actually enjoy playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the game is too rough. Too rough. It's like, games of war. Sometimes the games get very, very rough. We have to remember that we are like all one and love, and we get very forgetful in the games.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Now, what could you say about twin flames? Like, does everybody incarnate here with their twin flame, or are
Oh
there?
no, I didn't. I did not incarnate with Apollo. I did not. He is not in a body. He is my twin flame. He
Mm-hmm.
did not incarnate same time as me. There are some twin flames that are here at the moment, and they are for the purposes of the ascension process. They're joining together, is creating this new blueprint for humanity's love. That is their purpose for beingness. But I think if Apollo was here with me, that would be very, very strong. That would be too strong energy for the earth. So, like most of the Elohim, none of them actually, when I think about it, none of them have their twin flames here. Their twin flame is on the other side, I guess, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. What would you say to the people that are looking for the twin flame here?
Earth is not such a place where you go looking for twin flame, unfortunately. I think the vibrations need to go up somewhat for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
For so the pioneers, they will lead the way. these people who have come in with their twin flames to seed the love and light relationships. So when the twin flames, when they ascend, then this template will be available for everyone all of time. Okay. So it's like when that happens, when they ascend together, this template will be made for humanity. So many people can have twin flame experience on earth after that, but there has to be some people who are like trailblazers that do it before everyone else. So you will not get much success until these people have lived their lifetimes and done the things that they need to do.
Thank you for that. A lot of people romanticize like the twin flames. Is that like a romantic union?
It can be very challenging depending on your evolution level. Of course, Apollo and I love each other very, very, very much. But before we were Elohim, we were very, very challenged. We had times where we didn't like each other. There were times when I killed him, and lifetimes where he killed me, you know. And one lifetime he took away my baby and this type of thing. This was before we became Elohim. So until you get to a certain evolution point, it's not like fun and games, you know. It can be difficult.
Yeah. What would you be able to tell us about a laser event? Is there such thing on our lifetime that might happen?
Laser. Laser? What do you mean by laser?
Like something that will happen that for the ascension process to start.
A laser event?
Mm.
Like, what do you mean in the context of laser? Like, how would the laser be applied? Like a technology?
Like a technology that will send half of the humanity on their ascension process or on their exit points.
No, laser can't do that. I wonder where this is from. I don't, no. I don't think this is quite right because that would be too much intervention from this laser technology. Okay, so that would not be allowed.
So
Okay,
if
so
they
when
have created it, like say the reptilians have created like a something that will affect, like a trumpet, or like will affect certain people.
they're not allowed to do this, they have been taken away from Earth, these beings, these reptilian beings. There's only like a few hanging around, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that still need to be collected, let's just say, but they do not have the capacity to do this because they would not be able to. If they tried to do this, we would blast them out of their skins. They would be like roast potatoes, okay? Because they cannot interfere in this process. This would be breaking so many laws, so many rules. There is so many benevolent forces around Earth at the moment. So if they tried something as stupid as this, their butts would be kicked so hard, like they would go backwards in their evolution, let's just say.
Thank you for all the information that you provided for us today. Is there anything else that you want the vehicle to know, or anything that you need me to know?
I'm just I will just give some energy to myself to adjust to the body for next time, because I get very fidgety in the body, and this caused the interruption before. I'm very sorry, but I was fidgeting and this caused the interruption. So I'm just giving some energy to myself so I can be more comfortable in a physical form. I only have 40% of the soul in the body because I don't like this density. So when I'm in a body, I get very uncomfortable. So I'm just adjusting the body. And Akane is here. Okay. He is just helping this adjustment to the body, so I can do this a bit better, so I don't interrupt again with my fiddling.
That's all right.
Okay, so I am ready to exit the body now.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all the information.